we're going to reinstall this L620 loader on our Case IH 75C. I've been walking around doing a little cleanup of all the Zerk fittings, getting prepared to grease this up. I think on each arm there's 7 points. We have one right down here, there's 2, up a little bit is 3, right over here is 4, coming on up is 5, and then we have number 6 up underneath right there, and then all the way down this way, number 7. Actually there's 8. There's the other one hiding behind these hydraulic lines. So what I can count is 8 on each side, and we're going to get these greased up so we can get this loader reinstalled. Then we're going to go over here and put a little grease on this WR long grapple as well. Before we do, I just want to show you a little trick that I use. Here's a, if you notice up inside here, you get all that grease just clogged up in there with debris. Just get you a straw, kind of squeeze it together, and just rim around in there. Get that out like that. Wipe it on a towel. And just repeat it until you can get all that out, because you don't want all that stuff in there and causing issues in that fitting. We just want to get the debris out. We don't care if there's grease in there. We just don't like having all that debris in there with it. I'm sure there's other things besides straws that you could use, but this is what I had handy. Now that we got those all cleaned out, we're going to grab the grease gun and get the lubing this thing up. So in a previous video, I removed the loader. It was the second time I'd ever removed the loader off of the 75C. And this will be my second reinstall. So the first time I did it was at my first 50-hour service because I had to change some fuel filters. The reason I did it this time, I was changing the oil filter and the oil. That's also in a different video, but yeah, you might want to watch that if you have a Case IH 75C, because it's a bear getting to that oil filter. I'm going to be using this Ryobi grease gun that I purchased right before I transitioned over to a lot of our cordless battery operated M18 Milwaukee tools. This was one of my most recent purchases prior to that, and at this point I can't justify switching to Milwaukee when this thing works perfectly, and it does work great. It comes with this particular fitting here that fits into these small holes, just about perfect in there. Unfortunately, this Saker that I bought, this fitting here, as you can see, it will not fit in to those holes. Let's go down here so you can see a little bit better. It's just too big, and that's a shame. But they do make quick connects like this that will lock on, that will fit inside this diameter of a hole. I don't know the exact size of it, but it's a little bit smaller than this. So we're going to start using I guess the basic one that came with this grease gun on all of those type fittings. Then I'm going to switch it over to this because this is so much faster. It locks on for all of these fittings like this, that we can just pop it on and use one hand basically instead of holding it down and trying to force it in there. So check it out, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the normal tip. We're going to move the hydraulic line over, and that goes right in there. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze that trigger. I'm looking for new grease to come out. Got to hold that on the whole time. Gonna go around to the other side, see if I see any over here. There it comes. All right, it's coming through, so we're good. I'll show you where it came through at. Okay, we've got it off, and where I could see the new grease coming through was inside this joint here. So that means it's pushing grease all the way through and new grease is coming out. So that means we're getting a good connection right there. You know, I just noticed this for the first time. This is a little plastic fitting, and to me that makes me wonder if this can be popped out and you could put another Zerk fitting in there. I see the same thing on this side. I don't suppose it would be necessary since you're going in right here, but it may be beneficial. When it makes that noise, it sounds like it's out of grease. It's just kind of a steady, instead of a pumping sound, it's more of a steady sound. I don't see any coming through, so I believe it's real low. Let's check and see what it does here. It's very slow, so we're gonna put a new cartridge in. If you haven't done this before, I'll just quickly show you what you gotta do. Just unscrew this. There's where the grease goes. Now, back here you have this T-handle, and there's a little groove right here. So what you want to do is pull this back and slide it to the side and lock it in right there in that little groove. Now you can drop out your grease cartridge, and remember the side that comes out, because you're going to want to put the new one in the same way. You could, on this one, you can use that QR code and realize that that's the side that sticks out of the gun. So we'll set this one aside, and yeah, she was fully empty, right? Now we have this one. So it's the side that has the pop top. Let's pop a cold one off here. This is about as close as I get to doing that these days. All right. And remember, that side's out, so we want to pull off the little plastic cover here. We'll shove that up inside here, leaving this side out. Now we just screw it right back on. Just nice and hand tight using this grip here. Once we do that, we can come back here, pull the T-handle out again, drop it down, and you can slide it in. Now you can bleed this if necessary. There's a little bleed screw right here. We're going to see if we get it pumping out without doing that. Let's put the battery back on. I took it off before I did this. Just a habit, I take off the battery before I mess with any tool. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we get. All right, it's coming out good now. So we're ready to roll. Not done with the loader yet, but I moved over here to the grapple because before I change out this fitting, this is a little tight for that larger one to click down on. So I'm going to go ahead and get the grapple in these tight areas, and then I'll flip off this connection and put that other one on there. Oh, we got a lot coming out over here that I didn't see. Look at all that I just wasted. We'll find a use for this in just a minute. Okay, let's pop this off real fast. Let's just put this other one right on. I can almost just hand tighten this thing here and it'll be fine. So the great thing about the Saker or any other fitting like this is you just squeeze this, drop it on, and lock it on. It stays there and you don't have to hold it while you're pumping. right here. I'm assuming it's going other places too. I want to give it a little bit more. Oh, there's some on the bottom down there. It's a little messy, and I see it leaking around here. I don't like that. So I'm gonna also do some other greasing, but I'm not gonna put this on this video. I'm gonna grease the mechanical lift back at the rear hitch, the axle, all the greasing that needs to be done every 50 hours or so. So check out the 50-hour service video if you want to see all that greasing. I mentioned to you that we're gonna use this grease here. Let's get all that the cleanest grease off. And we're gonna go over here to the loader. When I took the loader off, I noticed underneath here where it rotates on the tractor frame where the loader is meant to go, it's just all the paint's come off of it, and I figure it won't hurt. Put a little grease in there. I'm gonna do that on both sides, maybe if nothing else just to help it not rust, because I know if you paint it there, it's just gonna come right back off. So on the grapple and on the loader, I'm just gonna take a shop towel. I'm gonna clean these fittings up best I can, a little bit around them, try to get any of that grease off, because all that grease is gonna do is attract a lot of debris, soil, and other things that we don't want getting up inside those joints. So I stopped the tractor here just to see where I'm at, and I see I've got about 3 inches clearance on that side. I can look at it from the front and see that I'm pretty much dead center. And our main goal right now is to get this section onto this area, laid right above it. Once we do that, we can then maneuver some things, hook up some hydraulics, and get things set. All right, as you can see, we rolled right up to it. This is now immediately above the area that it's got to drop down into, which will require us to hook up hydraulics, rotate the bucket a little bit so that we raise the front end of the loader up, dropping the back end. Same on this side, we're right above it. So if you weren't here for the last video when we unhooked it, you'll be seeing this for the first time, but we're bleeding the hydraulic pressure right now, just in case there's still any on the tractor. We did this before we unhooked all the hydraulics, and that allowed us to unhook those hydraulics without having any pressure, and hoping that by doing that, it bled all of these hydraulic lines from the loader to the connections here. And so if that's the case, these should pop on. It's not easy, but they should pop on. If not, in the past, I've literally had to loosen these nuts, and hydraulic fluid would squirt out in order for me to get this to connect, and that's not fun. So let's hope with a few more of these maneuvers here it will bleed the hydraulic system completely. Okay, so we're going to attempt to work from the back side or the inside to the outside. So starting with yellow first. Oh, goodness, it's close. But it's not going all the way. I mean, so close. That's wild. That being the case, I'm just gonna crack this nut right here like I did before, and let's see how much easier it is to attach that. All right, here it is. I'm gonna stand to the side because it's liable to shoot out some hydraulic fluid. Okay, so I just relieved pressure with all that juice coming right off here. Give it a little bit of a tightening down. And now let's go back down here and let's see if I can get it to slide. Let me wipe my hand off first. All right, let's see if we can get it in there now. That was easy. So that just went right down. I lifted the collar a little bit and it locked right on. So let's see now if that relieved any pressure on the other ones. My previous experience, it does not, but let's see if it did this time. Oh, that's perfect. Let's try the red one. All right, we're good. Blue. All right, very good. All we have now is the third function, these two, which is under the same, should be under the same pressure, but this is a different connector altogether. This is what I would call a quick connect. The ones we just did, I would call more of a skid steer style connection. So let's put the caps off on these. And let's put it on there. Now, the thing you got to worry about when you're doing it like we just did by loosening that nut is you got to get that nut loose, tight again, because what you don't want to do is lose any hydraulic fluid. That stuff is expensive and it can mess things up. So when you're doing this one, just pull down on this collar and bring it on in. Oh, there it went. It clicked. It clicked on its own. It went up, so we're good. This one's reverse. We pull up on this one and it's in. So all of these are on. Not so bad after all, but we have to make sure that we tighten the hydraulic lines back up. It wouldn't hurt just to test every one of them, make sure they're good and tight. So we're gonna do that real quick. Seems to be good and tight. We're just taking a brief intermission. I want you to see the sky. It's gorgeous. We have a beautiful cloud-covered day. We're going to maneuver the bucket. Now that the hydraulic lines are up, we're going to try to drop the loader into this bracket down here. And once we do that, we're going to then maneuver the bucket a little bit more and the loader. And we're going to try to line this hole up with that hole that's in there, so that we can put a pin through both of them. So I can tell on the other side that this pin's not going to go straight through. Let's see if this side's going to work, okay? Oh, that looks good. Wow, that looks real good. All right, let's try maneuvering it a little bit more and see if we can make it work on the other side. See what I was saying? It doesn't look like it's good, so we're going to maneuver it a little bit until it is. Darn close. coming through this hole with this pin. I'm going to lock this up over this. That's going to prevent this from coming out if there's a point where it is kind of flowing loosely. Well, like it is now. It's not going to come out. It's going to stay right there. All right, we're over on the other side. Going to do the same thing here. Lock it on. Since I moved it after we slid this one in, this one's tight right now. But we're locked in, we're good. Okay, just breaking in for a second. After I finished, I have a correction for you. So check the pin out where I just put it. Instead of putting it right here, the manual just says to take this off, bring this around here and pin it over the top of it. Like, well, if we can get it to work. Like that. All right, let's knock this side out too. So pop this off, bring it around through here, over. It's a little tighter to get it on this way. There it is. It's tight to get it on like that, but it does work. Now let's raise up the loader and lock those arms up where they go. Okay, so this is locked and pinned. Setting where it needs to set. These are locked and in place and pinned. I think we're in good shape. All right, and for those of you who watched our oil change video and you might be wondering, well, did your oil pressure ever go up? Yes, it's going up, and that may be more temperature than pressure. I believe that might represent temperature. I see the little thermometer over here, so maybe it's a combination of the two, but I think it's definitely temperature, and the tractor's been running a little longer, so that would explain that. And I topped off the oil last time. If you didn't see that video and you've got a Case IH 75C, you're going to want to watch that if you've not done service before. I appreciate you hanging out with us here at the lovely place. We're trying to make a homestead. We're working every day toward that. This needed to be done so that we could get back to work. So this was work before the work. Look forward to seeing you here next time. God bless you. Take care.